podcast concept, to be fully self-efficient, autonomous. So, this nonprofit, right? A lot of people, when they think of nonprofits, you think of fundraising and asking people for money, right? Which is very true. Um, but we're living in the days where COVID hit, people have lost a lot of their jobs, and money is tight. People, not saying that people still don't give, but it's not as a free, not without a hesitative um, factor that comes in, right? So it's just like, will I still be able to make my bills if I donate? You truly have to be of a giving spirit for you to be pretty much in philanthropy, right? Or even support that sector. So some people, they have it like that where they can do that, right? And that's like more power to you. But it is a little bit harder for a lot of people to just freely give, like, and I get that people gotta survive. Um, and I'd rather be the person that thinks about the donor than to just think about ourselves. Like, it's not even saying think about ourselves as in I'm thinking about myself. I'm thinking about pretty much how we're going to be able to execute our programming effectively, right? Without it having to do any cutbacks or having to make a smaller targeted audience or trying to refigure our resources. So what happens a lot of times that the impact factor, when you have to do that, the impact factor goes down, right? Because you're not able to be as accessible to the people that truly need it, which is a lot of people. Mental health has skyrocketed since COVID, and especially for the workplace. And I'm reading up a lot of articles because one of the board members, very, very awesome guy, he's a professor, and the culture of a lot of workplaces are not conducive to mental wellness, and they help aid in the decrease of mental efficiency, and then that also trickles down to productivity, right? How can you help someone if you can't help yourself? And I'm an advocate for mental health, and he really touched on the topic because it was just like, when you have it in your head, it's just like, yeah, it's going to be this magical place where everyone is getting the help they need and mental wellness. But if those things are not on paper, it doesn't do anything. It literally is just an idea. And he really was talking to me about having that be concrete in the structure of our facility, whether that facility is virtual or in person, but there needs to be some kind of structure there, because the amount of work that's for any worker is massive, and it's a high demand, and you're already stressed out. You're already dealing with loss. COVID hit massive amounts of families. People lost a lot of things, not even just their loved ones. Some people lost everything. You still have to put money on the, food on the table. You still have to be able to pay your rent. So this nonprofit is very much, you could do it traditionally, and have fundraisers in place and modeled financial outline that can bring in quite a bit of revenue, But it's even more efficient when you do run it like a for-profit. So if you combine the two, it's you kind of wash one hand with the other. So that pretty much is my approach when it comes to this. If I can sell a service while also implementing fundraising, then it's a very much what I'm trying to do, because I don't want it where people have to say you coming and you want to work for the nonprofit. I don't want it to be where your paycheck relies if somebody says, okay, I'm going to donate to you guys. Like that's crazy to me. Because if nobody donates, nobody gets paid, and people still have families. Life still goes on, right? So I'm very big on running nonprofits like a for-profit. It literally just is, no one gains the profit from it. It goes right back into the people. It goes back into the structure to help other people. So no, people will not be having like $1 million paychecks and stuff like that. Hell no. There's just way too many things that the people need, that money can be allocated to be a bigger benefit. But I damn sure am not going to be servicing people and we look good outside to the naked eye, but the inside structure, people can't pay their bills. People are coming in and day out and working, and they can't make ends meet, and now they're stressed out trying to help somebody else. So it kind of negates the effect of progress, right? It greatly affects the impact of making a huge wave, right? So if I have to find every which way to make to run it like an imaginary for-profit, and we're making a revenue, so this way that person that's teaching the courses can actually get a salary, can get a paycheck. If the receptionist that comes in, the maintenance, guy that has to come in, the person that has to coordinate all these things, then yeah, I want to be able to have the access to give jobs. Like, I want to boost the economy. Why not? The art business is a very lucrative market, extremely. So it's one of those type of things where if you can infuse the two, where programming is obviously free. The people inside of our program, they don't pay for a thing, nothing. You come in, you get the services that you need. But I also want to make sure that people have mental health days in their employee packet, not just, so you're going to be working 9 to 5 and then that's it, like, I want your mental health just as strong, if not stronger, than people that initially come into the program, because how are we supposed to help everyone? If you're not even happy, how the hell how are you going to help anyone? You're not good for anybody. So it's just like, you have to kind of invest in yourself. And I'm not saying it's invest in yourself as a person, but say the entity is a person, you have to invest in it, and you have to have a strong structure so you can scaffold a very seamless and efficient program. And then you're actually able to help other organizations that's probably even new in the game. So it's just like you can collaborate with a lot more other people and make a bigger impact on what being, and collaborate, because now you have the resources to do so. Resources is not, when it comes to nonprofit, you have to look at it like this. Resources are not for play. Resources are for impact. So if I have to sacrifice my paycheck to make sure that somebody is receiving therapy, or their art education, then I'm going to do so. I have no problem with that. But I also am of a giving spirit. If I have to denounce my paycheck, so this way, you know, the art therapist that comes in week after week gets paid, she's gonna get paid because she's helping so many people. So it's just like, I have no problem, sleeping in a cardboard box behind the building. I have no problem. I will sleep on a couch for a year, to make sure that other people are getting the help that they receive. But I will be damn sure working the hardest to make sure that the outline and is everything is paved out. The financials are set in, they're not set in stone, but they're strong, so this way it kind of lifts itself up. So this way we're not grant dependent. We're not having to, if we don't get this grant, then we're going to fold, we're going to go under. Like, you have to literally look at it as a business. Like 50% of businesses fail within like the first 6 months. So it's just like the first year, so it's just like, you really have to look at it like, how can you be sufficient? How can you be self-sufficient so this way other people can be self-sufficient? The more jobs you're able to, or the more economic opportunities that you can give other people, it kind of boosts their quality of life, and the quality of the community on a whole, like, just so many levels, psychologically, emotionally, financially, it goes down all the way down to social constructs, where now you can kind of change the narrative on mental health stigma, in the workplace, in the art world, and everyday life, so it's just like, sometimes your broken leg can be your catalyst to lift you off to a bigger jump. So say someone comes in and they're a phenomenal artist, but they don't have pretty much the training to fine tune it, and they pretty much, they have some things to work out on a mental level. We're able to give them those tools, and they improve. They now can go out into the world with a portfolio, and then you never know, because like they're so polished now when it comes to their portfolio and their body of work. You never know, that person can actually enter into a gallery, another gallery or art school, and become one of the biggest artists of our time. You never know. So if I'm able to help someone generate that amount of impact, not only are you helping the culture, and just giving diversity, you're giving an economic boost, because now that artist can now sell their art, or become a teacher, or do whatever they want to do in life. And everything kind of just trickles down. Art is becoming a major game changer in this time. People are starting to really appreciate what art can really do, and what art brings to the community. If people are really investing into art now, the game changer would be, are you going to keep it inclusive and pretty much keep that same type of feel of only certain artists get in, and this is the hot topic of whatever it is, and those are people that pretty much get chosen? Are you going to open up the gateway where people can really show what they can do? We're living in a golden age of technology, and openness. People are more open nowadays. So if mental health can pave a way inside the art world, because there is a major correlation between art and mental health, mental wellness. There is a huge correlation, whether people can see it or not. There's always a process of creation, and whatever that process is for you, it always seems to circle around that circumference, right? I just said circle on a circle. But whether the artist wants to show that emotion into their art, or that they want to portray whatever they want that person to feel, or just doing art just to do art, and people that come in can, relate to it, and it touches them in a meaningful way, or they do art to make sure that they don't, they're sane, that they don't freaking shoot up people. It's a stress relief, or it's just something that they like to do. It's just their joy. Joy is an emotion. I'm sorry. And joy promotes mental wellness. So however you look at it, when people think, a lot of times when we do our artist features, I have to word it in a certain way, because when there is a huge stigma that has to be broken, because not all the time when you say, do you do art for mental health, does that mean that something is wrong with you? You could be completely fine, but you do art because you want to bring joy to the world. That is something that touches mental health. You're trying to make somebody else happy. And if somebody is depressed, that person can actually find some kind of joy from out of your work. So it's just like, it doesn't have to necessarily be, I don't do art for mental health. Like, I do art to promote mental health. I do art, so it can go so many ways. And that's why art is such a complex, it's a lovely, I don't have the words for it. It's ambiguous. It's such a plate of food. It's like Thanksgiving on a plate. Matter of fact, it's like Christmas and Thanksgiving on a plate, and 4th of July. Like, you don't know where to start. You don't know if it makes sense, but it does make sense, so it's one of those type of things where it's thought-provoking. The concept of art itself is thought-provoking, and it makes you ponder, and there's so many forms and mediums of it that it can really change the world. And people really, really, I wish people can really see how forms of art really correlate. I was watching a YouTube channel, and the guy, a woman asked a question. It's just like, who do you identify yourself with, an artist or a designer? And like, they have their different definitions, but not for nothing. It's just like, both of them are artists. Both of them do art. Both of them create, and both of them, either way, they produce impact. So whether you're a designer and you make websites or campaign ads or, pitch decks and stuff like that, your end goal is to try to portray a message in the most beautiful way, and the most easy on the eye way, whether that is contemporary, whether it's in your face, whatever message you're trying to say, it always creates some sort of impact. So it's just like designers, web designers, clothing designers, music, poetry, painting, drawing. We all know the classics, sculpture and stuff like that. But weaving, rugs, tapestries, all these things, woodwork, all these things are forms of art. If it wasn't for art, we have a lot of bland clothing. We have a lot of bland, I'm looking at stuff inside the room right now. I have like it's like a window covering, and there's like a whole bunch of leaves on it. My son is like in awe of it because it's rainbow color, and he's just like, it's so beautiful. And and at first you just think it's a window covering, but somebody put thought into this design, and they wanted to bring an emotion out for someone. I really, really like it. My son really likes it, and I'm pretty sure the person that designed it will probably want to hear that, because that person's design brought some form of joy, some form of emotion. So that's what we're trying to do. Trying to make it easier for people to give joy, to give an emotion, to give their message, to give their impact. and for them to be sustainable while they do it. So, hey, it's a trust factor that comes into play. I think that's when it comes, what happens. Unless you can give your own startup feed, funding. A lot of people, it's just like, well, where is this money going to? It's a major trust, because some people don't do what they're supposed to do when it comes to the money. And honestly, it's like, do not go into an act of servitude if you're not going to fully do it. Like, just sit down. Just sit the hell down. Because every business is an act of servitude, whether you make profit or not. You're supposed to be helping someone solve a problem. If anyone's in the game of, I'm just trying to make money, you're going to fail. You're going to fail, because people will feel that. And if you're not doing it from the heart, and that's not your intentions, and you're not authentic to yourself of what you're trying to do, people will buy once and see who you really are, and then that's it. You really have to. It's sacrifice. It's literally being selfless. So I've been selfless for all my life. This is like the perfect opportunity for me to be selfless again. Why not? Why not? People ask me, why do you do it? Why not? Why not? You're helping other people. I have no problem helping somebody. So hey, do it again. So it just is what it is. But I don't know. I was just watching a few videos, and I was just, it just kind of inspired me to kind of do this, write this episode. This may not make it onto the podcast, but it might. I don't know. Whatever. You never know what happens, a month from now, 2 years from now.